On behalf of AmWestEntertainment.com and AmWager.com, I am Joe Christofak, joined by the man, the myth, the presence that is Pat Cummings. And this week, Dubai World Cup Carnival fans worldwide are blessed with a pair of racing programs and therefore 2 dates with Pat. Crack open a bottle of Pinot Noir.
Or something else, Joe. Not exactly my particular fancy, but that's fine for those that enjoy partaking in fermented grapes. Again, not my bag, but look, 2 great nights at the Carnival coming up. You know what? They have smaller fields these 2 weeks, and it's something we've seen over the past couple of years, that as the Carnival begins to wind down, because after this week, the next date is Super Saturday, next Saturday, what we end up seeing is some smaller fields, the horses that are still around, just trying to get their last runs in. For some of them, it'll be the last run of the season. And it yields what I think is a very approachable card, especially for those who may not have played Dubai in the past.
Well, Pat, I've had so many tough trips with my selections that maybe shorter fields will be the cure for some of these difficult journeys that I've had from starting gate to finish line. That remains to be seen. More on that a little bit later, Pat. The fields may be a little bit smaller, but the information doesn't change at AmWestEntertainment.com. The comprehensive free pass performances on a weekly basis, track his stats, Pat Cummings' detailed analysis and selections, and always live video on race day. Pat, before we dive headfirst into the Thursday action, how about sharing some Week 7 recap knowledge with your multitude of fans?
Thank you, Joe. And I am more of a fermented grain man myself, not so much on the grapes. Elival ran, that we talked about that 4th race, Catamountain. We took a stand against him.
You did.
But I did, but it wasn't. It didn't turn out all that well. I mean, it was right to go against him, but Elival, he had a perfect ride from Fergal Lynch. He's emerged here. They've run up to a handicap rating of 112, and that's borderline acceptance for the Dubai World Cup. So they're going to go to the Maktoum Challenge next week on Super Saturday. That will be exciting to see, but he's really emerged as a horse who clearly does enjoy running on the Tapeta. And his trainer, David Marnane, along with the other Irish trainer, McAlford, these guys have absolutely soared. It's been a breakout year for Ireland at the Carnival. I know it's been very exciting for, so to speak, the boys in green. They've really just, these are guys that have been coming to the Carnival year after year, and they're finally really getting rewarded for their attendance and their preparation. And then look, in the Balanchine, L'Amour de ma Vie did it, certify. She didn't have it. She was very reluctant to go into the gate. She had to gate school, or rather she's been required to gate school after this. I don't know what it was, Joe, but L'Amour de ma Vie, all credit. I was wrong, and I bowed down to the love of my life.
Who's that?
The horse, L'Amour de ma Vie.
Very, very clever, Pat. Now,
it's not you, Joe.
I was going to say, wait a minute here, time out. Okay, interesting conversation to be had on Certify, because you kind of knew what my feelings were going in. Does she have a major excuse here besides not loading in the starting gate? I know the pace wasn't that fast. Was she exposed a little bit? And what do you think is next? And will her career continue to evolve?
Yeah, the pace was slow, and I wish if I had the earpiece in the jockey's ear that I would have said, let her go. Don't strangle her back. There was definitely some pullback on her, and I thought just let her free. She may actually be like one-paced. She may have a real grinding style, and she just doesn't fly past horses because she didn't exactly explode past L'Amour de ma Vie when they first met in the Cape Verde. So.
Totally agree with that. All right, well, let's move on to the upcoming races, Pat. And another reminder for all of our fans out there that Timeform U.S. past performances are available for free on a weekly basis up and through Super Saturday. They put horses on a global scale, which makes them easier to compare. And you can also get Timeform U.S. past performances for racetracks all across North America, a very valuable tool and tablet friendly. Pat, Thursday, February 27th, the first post is going to be 9:40 a.m. Eastern Time. 6 thoroughbred races, as we mentioned. 2 days of racing for the Carnival this week. Also Saturday, March the 1st, you and I will be performing a separate video, which which will be released Thursday afternoon for that. 6 thoroughbred races on Saturday as well. Super Saturday coming up on March the 9th. Post time will be at 8:10 Eastern Time. And then Dubai World Cup Day, March 29th, 9:10 Eastern Time. And Pat, we're going to have full card chats with live video on both Super Saturday and Dubai World Cup Day available at amwestentertainment.com, so you can talk about the races, share your opinions. Very interactive, very informative, great camaraderie in these race day chats. So do put both of those on your schedule and bookmark the video page at amwestentertainment.com. Pat, featured races on Thursday are the 4th and the 5th, the $250,000 UAE Oaks and the $250,000 of Beale Mile. They are both Group 2 races. And Sir Pat Cummings, we're going to attack races 3, 4, and 5 with great vigor. But before we do, a little birdie informed me that you, the Stork, has a price play to deliver in race number 2.
Yes, don't knight me yet, but if we get this value play home, maybe it would be worthwhile. Yeah, we'll start the value play in race 2. Number 10, Lahaf. This is a Mike DeCock trainee who is going to fly under the radar. He is not ridden by Christophe Soumillon. Blinkers for the first time. They'll take the tongue tie off of him. This is a horse, Joe, that had a really good run first up in a mile race on the Tapeta. He then went to the grass. Actually, he had a run at Jebel Ali where they were very keen on him, and he just didn't take to the dirt going up the hill at Jebel Ali, comes back on the grass, runs good enough, but this field is 1,200 meters, and there's a ton of pace in here, Joe. We see American Zebros. Conveyance is here off of almost a 3-year layoff is Conveyance. I've heard he's been training well in the morning. But other horses, Abu Sidra, Murhi, Mujizef, they might all go forward. I think it sets up really well for Lahaf, and he has to be somewhat ignored in the marketplace. They will not put this horse off as a favorite, and I think it'll struggle to get into the single-digit odds. So Lahaf, for me, is an intriguing value play in the second race.
Well, it's nice to be able to build that bankroll early on in the card. Pat, race 3 is the Maidan Classic for 3-year-olds asked to travel 1,400 meters on grass. Field of 10 led by Wednon at odds of 2-1 on the morning line. He was third in the comeback race behind Long John, who may be the future book favorite for the UAE Derby, one of the most impressive performances I've seen at the Carnival.
Yeah, and he would be. I would completely agree there. Wednon, only his second start in that race last time. And let's go back and take a look at it. You know, for a horse that was fairly young, I think that it says something that he did come on and run a good third. Up on the front end is My Catch, who's second on the rail. He'll fade a bit in the lane. Gelata's on the outside in gray. I don't know if he exactly took to the Tapeta, did Gelata. It's possible. Wednon, who was in those yellow silks, comes on, and he runs a good third, beating a little more than 5 lengths. He needed this race, Joe. I think he is the horse that is most likely to make a step forward, a meaningful step forward in this particular spot. But the race isn't beyond some of these others too.
Well, Pat, is Wednon obviously is a deserving favorite here, but how do you read Mike DeCock's placement of this horse? Is this a demotion, so to speak, or purely a confidence booster for lightly raced horses you mentioned?
If you follow the Carnival enough, you recognize that you have to run your horses when you have the chances and when they're fit. So they put him into that UAE 2000 Guineas, and even though he was one of the choices and the first string, so to speak, he needed that race in a really bad way. He had his maiden win over Turf. It was in England. He comes in here. They had to get that run, and no one was going to beat Long John. So essentially, if Long John's not in there, he runs a really credible second. Maybe they don't come back in this spot. I think it's an okay move for Wednon here, and I did make him my pick, although I think some others deserve attention.
Well, let's take a look at a few of those others, Pat. There are horses that maybe stepping up, so to speak, to meet a horse like Wednon, but may have more experience, so that can also be an advantage.
Yeah, let's go back. This is the UAE 1000, this is the Maidan Classic trial for this. It's won by He's No Saint. He's not in here, Joe. He's going to go on the Tapeta next time on Super Saturday. 3 horses to look at. Make It Real on the lead. Najim Suhail, who's on the outside here, 4 deep. And then back on the rail, towards the back, is Eye in the Sky, the Scandinavian horse. And Eye in the Sky runs on pretty well from fourth. Make It Real stays on and runs a very good second. And frankly, if he doesn't come off the rail, I don't know if He's No Saint is going to win by as much as he does or get through as much as he does. And Najim Suhail's been plodding along in tougher company. He's certainly not without chance. 5-1 on the morning line in this race. He is the third choice. He has experience, but he'll have a wide draw here, and he'll have to do it from out deep again. But I don't really fancy any of those three all that much.
Yeah, me neither. I'm not really sold on the strength of that field, but we'll have a better idea as to how good that race was moving forward through this particular event. Pat, any other horses to watch in this race?
I do want to take a look at number 8, Dolce and Carama, the Thistle Bloodstock horse Todd O'Shea rides. He had him first up last time as well, and he had really the widest run in the UAE 2000 Guineas trial. We take a look at the Trackistat of the day. He was 8th in that race, Joe. He's still a maiden. A maiden has won this race before, but Dolce and Carama had to do it the hard way last time in his first up run. He covered 13 meters more than the winner in that particular spot. That was Emirates Flyer. I think you have to consider giving him another chance with maybe a better trip and on grass. This is a horse 4th in the Racing Post Trophy. I give him a shot.
Well, Pat, we alluded to this earlier. What I've learned about the Carnival with so many big fields is that positioning is absolutely critical. You can make a slingshot move with momentum off the turn and close to win wide, but if you get caught in a 3 or 4 wide grinding trip, it's really tough to sustain that all the way to the wire, and maybe those are a lot of the kinds of horses that we look back to in future appearances.
Yeah, we do, and look, wider trips, horses have to expend more energy. No argument that some of them might be more comfortable out there as opposed to being on the inside, but you're going to have to do some more work, which is why certain wide trips that we've seen, since Shawiz is one that comes to mind, was very impressive. He comes back on Saturday, and we'll talk about him in the next video we do later this week.
All right, Pat, on the race number 4, the co-featured UAE Oaks for 3-year-old filly set to travel 1,900 meters on to PETA. Intimal was a refined lady against giggling high school girls the last time she ran. She faces many of the same rivals here, over 300 meters more of ground, but I did some research on her pedigree, and she has plenty of stamina influences.
Yeah, I don't think the distance is going to be trouble. Just for due service, we'll go back and take a look at the 2000 Guineas. Look, she was very impressive in the all blue on the outside. It takes her a couple, meters to really kick it in, but when she does, it was automatic. Mensura runs a good race in second, and then Fidya in third. I think Fidya could emerge and come back on with something decent, but look, it's just really tough to say that every horse in this race is coming out of the Guineas. So they're all here. They're all back. They run the same race. The only thing I could suspect is maybe she gets in some trouble on the rail and has some trouble finding her way through. She's drawn in gate 2. That's the only hesitancy. 3-5 on the morning line. She is the Amwager best bet of the day, and she deserves to be.
Yeah, she should even get better this time around, you would think, after coming back off of a decent layoff last time. I think perhaps Fidya, who was coming off a 5-month layoff in her own right, maybe a little bit tighter for this second run, may be able to give her a little bit more of a fight, but Intimal looks like a standout, and as you mentioned, Pat, your Amwest best bet of the day. Pat, race number 5 is a Zabeel Mile for turf milers, of course. In my mind, Mushrek should probably be 2 for 2 at the current stand. He was a bit unlucky when losing to his stablemate last time out. He's your 2-1 morning line favorite here, and in my opinion, very tough to beat.
Yeah, I'm not going to disagree with that, Joe. Let's go back and take a look at his last race. This was the Al Rashidiyah. He is on the rail in the blue and white striped cap with the shadow roll. And look, he just finds trouble. He was drawn inside. He gets a middle draw this coming week. And his stablemate comes over the top and just soars past him. He fights back in the lane, but it took him a while to get out and get comfortable. Paul Hannigan really had to negotiate his way through there. It was not an easy trip. Mujarib comes back and runs a fairly decent third last week when he had really not a whole lot of pace to run at. So it was a respectable follow-up effort in a race that had been won by Taz a day. So nothing in there disgraces what Mushrek did. So I'm okay with that performance. I've picked him on top in this race. But when you look elsewhere, it does get a little bit more interesting.
Yeah, and one of the horses that I'm very curious about is Anaerobio, Pat, because the race prior was such an impressive win. Raced back last week and didn't do as well, and I'm interested to see what your take is on this particular animal.
Yeah, Look, you've got a couple of these horses that have come out of the Al Fahidi fort, and we can go back and look at it. Anaerobio wins. He's in the yellow silks with the red cap, second back on the rail. Mishawish, who is also in this Zabil Mile field, he's just behind him in the gray silks. Frankie Dettori rode on that occasion. And look, the top three finishers were 1, 2, 3 on the rail almost the entire way around. Anaerobio will just tip out and run up and get the win. Mishawish comes trailing behind him. That was over 1,400 meters. This is over 1,600. I said I thought Mishawish was going to win the Al Fahidi Fort if it was back to its original 1,600-meter trip. It's not. The Zabil Mile is. I certainly have to give Mishawish a chance to move forward. I just like Mushrek more. And it's also worth noting, Joe, that number 3, Trade Storm, he won this race last year. He actually won 2 races in Dubai last year. Somewhat surprisingly, he was fairly well exposed. The thing about him is that he has never come close to showing those 2 performances, those 2 wins in Dubai from last year. He's never come close to replicating them since. He's 6-1 on the U.S. morning line. I think you have to treat him as such with some kid gloves. Edu Carrito, number 2, bit of a long shot chance. I thought he ran well first up.
This race definitely goes through, in my opinion, Mushruck, but it will be very interesting, as is the Free Derby Wars contest every week of the Carnival. $150 of free money up for grabs. Sign up early for that contest. It does fill fast, and it does fill up to its maximum potential of 150 players. Last week it was Bill Wentz getting the job done. Some really high scores across the board. He had Eastern Rules, Medicine Man, and the long shot Elaval, so congratulations to him. For more information on racing from across the world and to become a part of the nation, horseracing.nation.com. Follow them on Facebook and Twitter as well. Pat, ladies and gentlemen, can I have a drum roll, please? Thank you. That means it's time for Pat's full card selections for Carnival week number 8, day number 1 of week number 8, because we have racing on Saturday as well. But Pat, why don't you release your selections for Thursday?
Yeah, I'm going to go with My Freedom in the first. This is a horse we chased first up. Didn't run all that well. Had some issues in running. Came back and ran a decent race next time. He is the slight morning line favorite in a short field, but a competitive field in that first race. I go with Lahaf, as we mentioned, as the value play in Wednon. Energia Davos in the last race. I thought he ran well behind Chavez and wished he had run second. It would have been a huge trifecta I would have had, but he didn't. But I'm backing up with him. Energia Davos in that last. What are your spot plays, Joe?
Wow, looking at this, 6 races, 5 top selections at 3-1 or less and a 12-1 shot. Curious to see how you attack the bankroll, Mr. Cummings, because we'll get to that in a minute. I have taken a maybe short-lived lead on you, at least going into this week. Here are my spot plays. I've got La Dracar in the first race, improved second run of the Carnival, beaten less than 2 lengths by Montras, who I thought was a good winner, has some class, in the right spot, set for a peak effort, in my opinion.
He's done nothing but disappoint at the Carnival, Joe. Nothing. He has only ever disappointed.
In the right spot, and he smells
okay.
good. And he smells good. Race number 3 from number 4, My Catch a Horse. I've been pretty impressed with this meet. Outside of potentially the favored Wednon, this is an easy group than what he's been facing. Not a ton of speed in here. Back on grass, which may be his preferred surface. 1,400 meters, which may be his best distance. And at 12-1, the price is right. And we've already talked about Mushrak. I think he's the best horse in the race. Just needs to find a trip in race number 5. And Pat, that brings us to the bankroll challenge. Why don't you reveal the totals, buddy?
Yeah, I'm only at $535. We're down 165. You, on the other hand, down 124 at $576. So we have to start chasing, and you certainly have a couple prices there. I'm going to 3 plays. One in race 2, 50 to win on Lahaf. And then in the 6th race, 2 plays, and they all use Energia Davos as a banker. $38 to win on Energia Davos. The $12 left over is really a function of a trifecta that will play Energia Davos on top of 3 horses, 5, 9, and 10, and use all of them for third. It'll cost you $12.
Well, 7 weeks at $100 a piece. I have tanked in 2 of those weeks, losing the complete bankroll. But in the other 5 weeks, I've shown a very slight profit. So this week, we're going to go to our 3 spot plays. Win in place on both La Dracar in race number 1 and My Catch in race number 3. They are both double-digit odds in the morning line. And then 40 to win on the nose of Mushrek in race number 5. Don't forget you can follow Pat and I on Twitter, Pat at Dubai Race Night and at Trackus Racing. You can follow me at Joey Decay Racing. Pat and I have some interesting banter during the course of the Carnival races, and we'll be back at it on Thursday. And Pat, this isn't the only time that the racing fans are going to have to view you and I talking about the Carnival, because like we've said, we've got more racing action on Saturday. We'll release that video at the conclusion of racing on Thursday.
Yeah, Nat El Sheba Trophy, that for stayers at 1 3/4 miles is the feature. A field of 12 will go postward. And as I mentioned, very approachable week. If you've been intimidated by some of the big fields at the Carnival, while it does breed value, it can also breed some confusion. Doesn't happen in both of these nights. It's a good time to wade into the waters. Super Saturday looms beyond this. So look forward to seeing everybody for our action coming up on Saturday as well.
And just another reminder, sign up for the Derby Wars contest for both Thursday and Saturday this week. 2 for the price of 1, which is 0, and it remains 0 because it's an absolutely free contest. For the incomparable Pat Cummings, I'm Joe Christofak. Enjoy the Thursday action, and we'll be back on Thursday with another video to preview Saturday at the Dubai Racing Carnival. Enjoy it.